We're about to start the solar panels on this Ford Transit Connect Mark II. You do have to mind the mess. We went hiking yesterday, but we've got all of these preparational bits to do first. We've got stuff like the 12-volt controller just there. Oh, that's the USBs. We've got the cigarette lighter there, a volt controller there, and an on-off switch. They all go into one little unit, which is just down there, and it's all going to go on the side of this unit just here. We've had to mark it out, so we've done the outside and where the actual holes are going to go, but we have to be really careful because there's a nut on the outside of all of those fixtures, but there's also a screw hole right on the edge, and we can't really go too far up here, so we're having to really cut this really finely. So we've drilled a hole, and we're going to get the jigsaw in that tiny little hole and just very gently go around all these little outlines and just hope that the actual fascia plate, which is just over here, fascia plate, actually fits in perfectly fine. Once it does, we can obviously clean off all the markings and stuff, get that in place, and then that's wired up, or we can get that wired up with all the wires that we've got just here, connect it all up. We've already cut them and crimped them and stuff, so we're going to get that in. We've got to get the solar charge control unit up there. We've got to get some light switches up there. We've got to get the lights fitted to a headliner and get the headliner up. We've got to get the battery, which is down that back corner just there, connected up to the solar charge control unit, connected to the solar panels, which got to get them fitted. Yes, now with that cut out, it's a case of drop this on, get it screwed in, get all the fixtures fitted in, and just see if the bolts will actually tighten up from the inside, or whether we have to do any trimming. By bolts, I mean these things here. Basically, it goes in, and that tightens it to the back plate of that. Isn't that groovy? Now we've got, there we go, the voltmeter tells us what volts are actually the battery, the on-off switch, the USB, and the 12 volt. Wiring wise, looks complicated, really isn't. It come with the wires already pre-sorted basically, so it's just a case of red goes to plus, black goes to minus. It's in, and oh no, why oh, it's like half a millimeter out at the top. So what I'm going to do is the man's way of doing it. Get this off, get it cleaned, and then put it back in. Right, I'm going to have to put those bits through first. They're the bits that connect to the solar, and then get that in the right way, which is that way. Get the bottom pins in, and then 3, 2, 1. Oh, yes, yes. Get some screws in there. Done. We've got this standard sort of 12 volt socket, just a 12 volt. We're going to be running our little portable fridge off this. Again, come with the wires, come with the fuse in line. We've got the center console here, but down here we've got a blanking plate where there should be a 12 volt. So we're going to take that out and just drop that straight in. The fridge is going to be sat here, so it's nice and easy accessible while we're both driving. It can convert to an armrest, and it's just handy for us. Just thread the wires into the hole. This is like the first step. We're going to be leaving this here until we get like the actual wiring in, the power supply sorted, which that's a later job through today. And then once we connect this up to the fuse box, we'll be able to go underneath the center console, pick these wires out. They're the only 2 wires that are underneath there, and that should be that. Like a glove. Done it. There's the 2 cables out, the 12 volt sockets in. Perfect. There is a big job to do before the actual solar panel gets fitted, and we've got to paint that roof rack. To do that, we've got to get the rooftop box off, give her 2 coats of paint with this on the roof rack, maybe remove this because as you're driving it's a bit noisy, and then we can start drilling and fitting the roof rack. So the easiest way to do this is, there you go, looks a lot better. It's a bit of a sloppy paintwork job, and I've only really painted the bits you can actually see. But it took hours and hours and hours. So while the roof rack's actually drying, we're going to put the fuse box in now. So it goes from the charge control unit to this fuse box. Where are we going to put it? The battery is underneath this board just here. So we want to try and put it somewhere around here, maybe in there, maybe up here. We don't know yet. I decided to put it in there with the battery. It's really starting to come together now. I'm well chuffed. For wiring up this, we're basically going to run the cables straight down to that back corner over there where the battery is. So what we've done, we've got this 2mm cable, you can see it just here, and we've threaded it through these holes here, all the way down the bottom. You can see the big coil of it all the way down there. It come all the way out through this gap here behind the door seal, and through that little hole there, into there, just there. So now we can connect them up together and That's that one done. We've then ran the charge control cable. That's the cables that run from the charge control unit, which will be situated there, straight the way down. Behind that, just comes off with a couple of clips all the way down, and you can see the cables coming out just there. They're going to go into the battery area and connect the battery to the charge control unit. Now that there's a lot of wires going down there ready to go through, I'm going to label what the wires actually are, just for future reference. And if there's a problem, I know what's what. This is how I'm going to do it. Just going to write it on this blue masking tape, tape the wires to whatever I write on here. Done. You know you're doing it right when it starts to look quite confusing in there. Now the lighting. This is going to be fun. So we've got a remote control light unit. That's where all the lights plug into. We've got 6 USBs. That cable with that little adapter there is the remote control receiver sort of thing. Then it goes into this black cable down to this switch and then down to a cigarette lighter. We want to eliminate the switch and the cigarette lighter because we're going to be putting in one of these little toggle switches. So we're going to cut it sort of there, add on more cable so that we can link up to a switch further afield, because this amount of cable just isn't enough. Feels strange spending that much money on lights just to cut it open. Thinking we'll put the little unit there where we can attach all of the lights to, hide it up there so then we can reach every single light perfectly fine around the ceiling. Run the cable up there, go behind all this sort of stuff, make it nice and tidy behind all this, and then we're going to stick a light switch just there. That way when we come in the side door at night time and it's dark, we can just flick it on. It's just a simple case of put 2 positives, basically split the cable and put a positive on each side, and then that just cuts it on and off so we can turn it on and then use the remote control to do whatever we want. Disco time, flashy lights, disco time. I'm properly well chuffed. So I put the light unit up there, ran the cable up and around the back of there, all the way down. There's me on-off switch. With all the wires coming through, the battery in place, the fuse box in place, it's time to actually wire up the fuse box. We're going to have to get it all back out again to be able to actually access it. This couldn't be any simpler. We get the sticker and we've got overhead lights. So this one here is for the lights, and it goes just there, which means on this side is where the lights are going to go. We strip the outer cable. We've got your positive and neutral. Your positive goes into there and your neutral goes onto any one of those. From the battery, your neutral is going to go into there and your positive is going to go into there. We had little, I don't even know what they're called, securing things on the end. Drop them into there, drop the screw in, same on the top there as well, and then we add the acquired fuse and that should work. Now for the solar panel itself, you can see there you go. So we're going to put this sideways on the front, this being the front. The holes are perfect there. However, this side we're going to have to put some new holes just sort of closer to the actual upright, and that's solely so that it can actually fit on the roof bars itself. You can see the front one will go on there, back one will go on there, and then the roof box, which is obviously just there, that'll go further down. Now it did come with some self-tapping screws. I don't trust them, so I've been down to B&Q, got myself some proper bolts. I might just use the self-tapping screws just to start the holes off, get them through, then I can zip them out, I can send a drill in, and it's just a lot easier for the drill. Plus I'm lazy. Now that all the holes are drilled, it's time to drill through the actual ceiling of the van. We've got to get the headliner down first. We've got some T8 bolts, just a few of them kicking around in various hidden places. Then we've got to attach this to the ceiling, drill through the roof, obviously attach this. That's where the cables go in from the solar panel into the actual van. Get that sealed and secured really nicely so that that's got to last a good 12 hours before it's cured properly with some sticker flex. Yeah, it don't look too bad, does it? But we've got all these little plastic togs up here. Now, if you want to see them from the other side, it's them. The way to get these off is just a really big yank, and then the do just pop off. Oh God, you wouldn't have thought just 2 months ago I spent 8 grand on a van and I'm constantly pulling it apart to fit things. Trying to figure out where to put this now. Now, the panel cables from the panel come from this side, and the solar charge control unit is on this side. So I'm thinking on this side. Now that we're quite lucky because we do have quite a few flat spots. So maybe something like there, so it's right underneath the actual solar panel itself. And that's easy to get to if needed. Should I go that way? No, I'll go that way because then it's aerodynamic. Time to drill the roof. Oh yes, check that out. 2 bolts in on each single angle. That is going nowhere. It's rocking the whole van. Amazing. Now we've got the cables under there to thread through those 2 holes and then through the holes that we've made in the van. Before I go ahead and put the roof lining back up, I've got some more of that bottle plastic insulation. I'm going to whack a load of that up there just for sort of safety measures. Why not while I'm here? With all that back in place and all the clothes back up there, it's time for the fun bit, trying to wire things up. Now the first thing we have to do is go into this little cupboard here, boom, and connect the battery to the solar charge control unit so that the solar charge control unit knows that it's a 12-volt system. Just a couple of cables that go up through there, and they're going to go into those ones just there. And with that's connected over to that's connected, straight up and in, it's alive. It's alive. Now connect the solar panel positive and negative to the solar panel positive and negative on the charger. I'm getting so close. This is so cool. This is so freaking cool. This is so freaking cool. Check it out. The solar panel is charging the battery and the battery is getting charged. What? Yes. I don't know what that was, but we'll see whether it blows any of the fuses that I've put in, or see whether it works. I'm wow chuffed. Straight away, it blew a 10 amp fuse for that unit down there. I heard it pop, which is good because it did its job, but that either means there's a problem with that unit, or that was a fuse that was too small. So I've upped it to a 20 amp and it hasn't popped, so we'll see where it goes. Let's try that 12-volt socket, because that's ran solely off the 12-volt leisure battery. If the light comes on the ring on the outside of this, it works. And there's no light, damn it. It blew a 5 amp fuse. Let's try it again. Still no light. What? It didn't blow the fuse on the fuse box, but there is an inline fuse with that one, which I'm going to have to check that one. Let's go back down here and check the 12-volt. No, what's happening? For that one, I don't know how well you're going to see this. Let's see if I can focus. Well, either way, it blew the inline fuse, just popped it straight away. I eliminate that inline fuse and just operate off my fuse. No, that didn't work. It blew a 20 amp fuse doing that. So there's obviously a problem with the wiring somewhere, which I've got to check out now. As if I've just sorted it stupidly. Right, so I've had to tear everything apart, get all the wiring out. What have I done wrong? I can't see anything that I've done wrong. I'd crossed the positive and negative going into the fuse box. What a goon. But here we go. I've just been testing it all to see if it works. Just turn it on. Poof. Tells you the volts that you've got coming in. 13.5 volts. I've got 2 USBs. Cigarette lighter, which only randomly works with one of my cigarette lighters. This one. So it's not got a light on the front of it, and that one works, but the one that does have a light on the front doesn't work randomly. I've tested the lights, they all work perfectly. Me central cigarette lighter, I've got to get a new fuse for that one because I blew that, obviously, because of my mess up. Properly chuffed with how this turned out. But while I get some panels off and start painting them, I'll see you in the next one.